Hi, you're in my basement. So, for 15 years now, I have been following this series. I have completely aged out of the target demographic at this point, but I continue to read it, I continue to defend it, and I continue to recommend it to people, to my peers, to adults. It's Shadowhunters. And now that the end is in sight, I do not know what to do with myself. It has been 18 books before you even start on like the companion novels and the spin-offs and the whatever else. Am I supposed to just get into another long-ass series? Because I'm not committing to the Mossiverse. I'm just not. If you tell me I can't get into heaven unless I give Throne of Glass an honest chance, you can find me in hell. Because here's the thing about the Shadowhunter Chronicles TM. There is so much there. And it is all connected. You'll see. And that's why you're here. Because I'm going to make you see. You need to know and you need to learn so that when the last books come out, you'll be all caught up. We'll be all in this together. So, way back in 2007, Cassandra Clare made history when she dropped City of Bones, the first book in the Mortal Instruments trilogy. Put our queen up on the board. We gotta talk about Cassandra Clare. She is a little bit infamous. So she was a big name fan back in the Harry Potter fandom back in the day. A big name fan is basically just like a fandom celebrity. She was really good at fan fiction. I wasn't really in that space because I was in elementary school and I was spending my precious internet time on Neopets. But if you want to know the whole lore, look up Cassandra Clare, look up MS Scribe, Miss Scribe, I don't know. There are tons of videos and posts breaking that down. We're not getting into that today. But anyways, the reason this is important is because Cassandra Clare wrote a different fan fiction that was a Ron and Ginny fan fiction, which she claims she wrote as kind of like a being silly, haha, goofy, incest. And that fan fiction was called The Mortal Instruments. And so people will tell you that The Mortal Instruments is just Harry Potter fan fiction with the serial number filed off. That isn't really true. In reality, there are some elements of the story that are taken from her other fan fiction trilogy, the Draco trilogy, which is a Draco-Ginny fan fiction. Draco is blonde, Jace is blonde. Clary has red hair, Ginny has red hair. Everybody knows that when you have a hair color, that's it, you own that. Anyways, the whole thing of like, The Mortal Instruments is the same title. Did she steal it? Well, she stole it, but not from herself. She stole it from Shakespeare, who's dead. He's been being dead. It's fine. People who have read both say that they're different. Cassandra Clare says that they're different. I am gainfully employed, and so I was not going to hunt down a fan fiction that can legally rent a car to see how similar it was to a book from 2007 that was written by the same person. I'm in the they're different camp. I would say fight me, but honestly, I'm not even gonna engage. That's not the point. This series, 2007, City of Bones drops. It is the first book in the Mortal Instruments series. It takes place in 2007 in New York City. It's followed by City of Ashes and City of Glass. That's the OG trilogy, wham bam, thank you ma'am. Except it is not the first in this series chronologically, because in 2010, Cassandra Clare rode the steam-powered Victorian England hype train that was kind of like a thing in publishing at that time. And she whips out Clockwork Angel. And that is the start of a prequel trilogy called The Infernal Devices. And it is set in London in 1878. And so I know what you're thinking, how is it a prequel if it happens 129 years prior? Because it is a quell that happens pre the series. And anyways, have you ever read a book and you were wondering like what were their great-great-great-great-grandparents up to and who were they kissing? Because if you have, this is definitely the series for you. Now, while that's being published, The Mortal Instruments was so successful that the trilogy gets another trilogy and becomes a hexalogy. So in 2011, we get the first book of the Mortal Instruments sequel trilogy with our friend, City of Fallen Angels. And this directly follows the events of the first three books. And then these books kind of came out in a weird order where they were kind of like alternating between like the Mortal Instruments 2 and the Infernal Devices 1. So we get City of Fallen Angels, Clockwork Prince, City of Lost Souls, Clockwork Princess, and then we round it all out with City of Heavenly Fire in 2014. So all of those are wrapped up in 2014, but in 2013, we get our first entry into the Shadowhunters cinematic universe with the movie. I'm putting the movie here, I'm putting it in the corner where it belongs. So the movie was not a hit. The movie was also not called City of Bones, it was based off City of Bones, but it was actually called like The Mortal Instruments, the City of Bones. And it starred Lily Collins and the evil guy from Stranger Things. It was fine. I I didn't really love the casting choices. I think some of them were really weird. Let me preface this. I have wig blindness. When you tell me like a bad wig, like it has to be this bad for me to tell, basically. But Lena Headey in this movie has the worst wig. Let's all laugh. Haha, wig era, flop wig era. I'm so sorry. Anyways, she didn't earn a sequel. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Now, after all of these things are published, or sort of like as these things are being published, we get our first companion novel. Okay, here's the deal with the companion novels. These are like series of short story spin-offs. The first one, The Bane Chronicles, follows one of the characters, Magnus Bane. We will get to him. These were released story by story, drip-fed to us as if they were a mama pig and we were baby pigs, except the mama pig was not feeding the baby pigs milk, she was feeding them slop from her piggy slop body. And so they were drip-fed to us story by story, $2.99 at a time or whatever. And then, after they were all published, you could just read them all at once in a book that was published in 2014. And also, all of those were written by Cassandra Clare and her girls being a gender-neutral term here. But the masses yearned. 2014, they said more slop, please. We want more slop. And oh, we got more slop. We got our second entry into the Shadowhunters cinematic universe. The TV show Shadowhunters on Freeform, previously ABC Family. TV show Shadowhunters started in 2016 and ran for about 3 seasons and ended in 2019. It was about what you would expect for a Freeform, previously ABC Family production. It was fun, but bad. The best part about this show was that Cassandra Clare very clearly hated it. Especially towards the end, Cassandra Clare would be exchanging subtweets with the creators of the show, and it was so juicy. I liked the casting for this a lot more than I liked it for the movie. But because of this, I wouldn't be surprised if Cassandra Clare never trusts another hoe with her IP ever again. 2015 to 2016, we get another set of companion novels with Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. That's our second companion novel, and this one was also drip-fed to us and eventually published into a big boy book in 2016. Now, the companion books are over here because basically all of the stories tie into different points on this timeline, but they're all over the place. And so I'm just sticking them here for now, and when we get to the companion books, which boy howdy we will, we'll figure out where they go then. 2016, Lady Midnight, set in 2012. Now, this is the first book in the Dark Artifices trilogy, which is a sequel trilogy to the sequel trilogy to the original trilogy. It's set in Los Angeles. We didn't do an alternating thing with this one. I think Cassie realized that sucks. 2017, we get Lord of Shadows. In 2018, we get its sequel, Queen of Air and Darkness. Those finished publishing in 2018. And now the door is wide open for another, not companion novel, but kind of spin-off trilogy called The Eldest Curses. Now, you'll recall that Cassandra Clare writes these with her girls being a gender-neutral term, and one of her girls is Wesley Chu. 2019, she writes the first book in the Eldest Curses trilogy, and that's called The Red Scrolls of Magic. 2019, where do you think it goes? Where do you think it goes? If you said anywhere but the middle of this fucking bullshit, you were wrong. So, 2019, The Red Scrolls of Magic, then City of Heavenly Fire, and that's just the chronology. Odd one out. Odd one out, odd one out. It's gotta have a new label. Eldest Curses. This one is different. We have the string to prove it. And now, to celebrate another trilogy finished, another companion novel. This one's called Ghosts of the Shadow Market. It follows a character from the Infernal Devices. We'll learn more about that. And it's another series of short stories. Were these published sequentially? I think they were, but I tuned out. I was like, Cassandra, I'll wait for the book. So Ghosts of the Shadow Market gets completed in 2019. 2020, we get a sequel trilogy to the prequel trilogy. The first book in that trilogy is called Chain of Gold. Now, this is a prequel trilogy called The Last Hours. You can tell by its placement on the timeline that this title is technically wrong. There are more hours after this. The Last Hours, sequel trilogy to The Infernal Devices, also set in London, this time in 1903. This follows the children from this trilogy. 2020 was another doubleheader for Cassandra Clare with The Lost Book of the White, another one in The Eldest Curses, book 2 in The Eldest Curses, and it takes place in 2010. So Chain of Gold is followed by Chain of Iron in 2021 and Chain of Thorns in 2023. Cassandra Clare took a little break for 2022 because she had a little health issue. So 2023 in a way was our last mainline kind of Shadowhunters novel. And so then we get we're gonna call it like the Kickstarter era. That's when Cassandra Clare gets a little avant-garde. So before the Kickstarter era, we get Secrets of Blackthorn Hall. Secrets of Blackthorn Hall was not a book in the traditional sense. It was rather a storytelling experience on tumblr.com. And you can actually read the whole thing on tumblr.com if you go there. Don't go there. And Cassie's actually a Tumblr girly. She has been on Tumblr at least since like early 2010, I think. And she's like medium-ish active on there. You can also read Secrets of Blackthorn Hall as a physical book, which came out 2026. Secrets of Blackthorn Hall follows a location from The Last Hours with characters from The Dark Artifices. We're gonna call it a companion book. Kickstarter era had this time where she was like, let's do a friggin' Kickstarter, okay? Kickstarter offered Secrets of Blackthorn Hall physical edition. It offered Better in Black by Cassandra Clare. This is kind of a companion novel in that it is 10 stories following our fave couples from all of these books. I think you could get it early if you did the Kickstarter, but now you can buy it as like a real book, like even if you didn't do the Kickstarter. One of the things in the Kickstarter was this novella, which was a sea change. Technically, legally speaking, I think it's a companion novel. However, it is just one story and it is focused on just characters from The Last Hours, and so I feel justified in placing it right here. As of when I'm recording this, mid-June, you can buy this, but I think only as a physical version, and I did kind of hate that because I am such an ebook girly because I want to read in my bed in the dark, and I don't want one of those silly little night lights. I'm a big girl, I don't need a night light. This actually came out like May 2026, so it's very fresh. And so now that takes us to today, where we are looking down the barrel of 2026, and what do we see? Another fucking trilogy. November 3rd, 2026, midterms. Americans will be electing new reps and senators and governors and whatever. They won't be electing a new trilogy because that's already been decided. The people have voted and they want this shit done. Enter our very last trilogy, starting with The Last King of Fairy. Now, what do we know about The Last King of Fairy? We know that it's set in 2016, and we know that it's part of our last trilogy called The Wicked Powers. Now, it does follow characters from The Dark Artifices who are children of LA. I don't know, however, if this is going to be set in LA. I know some of it's going to be set in Fairy, which is its own little like world. And now, just to recap, here's what's coming out in November. The Wicked Powers, the first book in the sequel trilogy, to the sequel trilogy, to the sequel trilogy, to the original trilogy. I feel like that's super clear. However, Cassie has not ruled out it could be like 4 books. That's what she said on Tumblr. She said it could be 4 books. So we could end up getting sequel Twilight Saga to the sequel trilogy, to the sequel trilogy, to the original trilogy. That is one sexology. Oh, I forgot to mention about Eldest Curses. Eldest Curses is a trilogy. Eldest Curses book 3 is going to come out between books 2 and 3 of The Wicked Powers. Look at all this shit. Where do we start? There are a few different orders you can read the books. So one of those is publication order. You really can't go wrong with publication order because no book is going to spoil the other. 2, you could read it in order of series. So you could just kind of go like Mortal Instruments, Infernal Devices, Dark Artifices, Last Hours, Wicked Powers. That's doable. That's fine. I don't think it's the best order. Kind of an unhinged choice, but you could also do chronological order. Start here and just truck the whole way. Would I pick it? No. Would I suggest that you pick it? No. You might be a renegade, and if you are, chrono's for you. But the best order is actually none of these. Now, the best order, according to Cassandra Clare, goes as follows. Mortal Instruments, 1 through 3. Infernal Devices, 1 through 3. Eldest Curses, 1. Mortal Instruments, 4 through 6. Bane Chronicles, Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. Eldest Curses 2. Dark Artifices. Ghosts of the Shadow Market. The Last Hours. And then, kind of curveball, you've got Secrets of Blackthorn Hall, and you've got a Sea Change, and you've got Better in Black. So we're just going to tack them on at the end. And that is the order that we are going to tackle all of these books in. This is going to be a multi-part series, so I hope you like it. Subscribe if you want to be here for all of them. And so now you might be thinking, Xtina, are we ready to get started? No, because first we have to tackle some basic lore. So, Shadowhunters. What are they? They are half human, half angel, but it's not like mommy was an angel and daddy got really lucky. It's like over 1,000 years ago, a man named, and I shit you not, Jonathan Shadowhunter summoned the angel Raziel, and he was like, I want to fight demons. Make me good at that. And Daddy Raziel said, okay. Daddy Raziel gave Jonathan Shadowhunter some of his blood. He drank it, yum, 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 and then they became Shadowhunters. Now, you have to see this picture. This is the best picture. I found this on Google. It had only 1 like on twitter.com, and it's the best shit I could possibly find. Like, this is art. No notes. Daddy Raziel. Key to all of this. And yes, I said Jonathan Shadowhunter is the founder and discoverer of Shadowhunters. I love this world building. Now, the cup that he used to drink the blood is called the Mortal Cup, and it is one of the mortal instruments. It can still make new Shadowhunters, and it's going to be important later. Now, there are 2 other mortal instruments. There is the sword and the mirror. We're going to learn about them when they come up in the books. So what do Shadowhunters do? They hunt shadows, basically. They hunt demons. That's their job. Despite being part angel, they're not immortal and they live normal lifespans. So Shadowhunters are also called the Nephilim, like from the Bible. It's not like Nephilim is their race and Shadowhunter is their job. It's just kind of like another word for them, like person and human. If there's one thing you would need to know about Cassie Clare, it's that she loves a thing having a ton of names. The Shadowhunters have a governing body. It's called the Clave. The Clave manages a little thing called the law, which they have an absolute hard-on for. You have no idea. The Clave is Shadowhunter world government, but there are also more local claves. Those are called conclaves in the US and Australia, and everywhere else they are called enclaves. Here's my theory about that. She called them conclaves in The Mortal Instruments, and then she wrote The Infernal Devices set in London. I think that she liked the idea of calling them enclaves better, but then she was kind of like, oh, I did already do like the whole conclave thing. I imagine she was just kind of like, retcon, they're enclaves in the UK and everywhere else. I mean, I respect it. Like, if you want to make a change, you got to shoot your shot. Clave government is basically one big council called the Council. That might be hard to remember, so feel free to jot that down. No judgment if you have to take notes. The leader of the Clave is called the Consul. He's kind of like the Clave Prime Minister. And then the Inquisitor is the second in charge, and they're kind of like the Attorney General / head bad cop. They rule out of the Shadowhunter home country, which is Idris. Idris is kind of between France and Germany, and I think also like a touch of Switzerland, which actually is a very specific place, and there is a city there. But this one's fake, and like nobody can see it. Its capital is Alicante, and it is the City of Glass. So claves and enclaves are in charge of institutes. Institutes are basically little like Shadowhunter headquarters all over the world. They're built on holy ground, and they're basically this combination of like dorm and library and government building, ballroom and training room and like whatever fucking room you need. But okay, so back to demon fighting. So every Shadowhunter has like their own kind of like signature weapon, which is like really neat because sometimes you get deep cut weapons. Maybe you have a white boy whipping out the chakram. Maybe you have a Mexican woman getting a little bit of motion with the Bali song. Everybody's going fucking nuts. They also use weapons made out of adamas, which is like this super hard diamondy glassy metal. It is the thing that looks like glass in City of Glass, which is Alicante. So they have blades made of adamas, which are called seraph blades. And they kind of like extend and glow like lightsabers, but you have to like give them an angel name, and like there's a whole like list you can pull from. Adamas is also used to make steles, which are basically kind of like a wand meets like pen. And that's kind of like the main Shadowhunter gear thing. They're used to draw runes, which are also called marks. Only Shadowhunters can handle marks. If you aren't a Shadowhunter and you get marks, then you can like go crazy and kind of be like a zombie, and then you're called a Forsaken, and those are going to kind of matter later. There are a few runes that everybody gets, and the one you hear most about in the book is called the Aratse rune, which is for healing. People don't just get to like draw whatever runes they want. All of the runes that you can make are in the Grey Book, which the angel Raziel gave to them. Some runes do have special ceremonies attached to them, like there's like marriage runes, but there's also the Parabatai rune, which is basically like your sworn magic battle brother. Parabatai kind of get like a special sense for each other. It's very much against the rules for two Parabatai appetite to fall in love. Okay, so that's Shadowhunters. But the world is not exclusively humans, Shadowhunters, and demons. There are also these things called downworlders, which are other magical creatures. So then you've got werewolves and vampires, and they're pretty similar to their bog standard variants. They are born human and then turned into werewolves or vampires. Vampires are immortal, werewolves not immortal. There are also warlocks, which are half human and half demon. They are immortal, and like for whatever reason, they all seem to have like 4-letter last names. They do magic. They also tend to have like a special trait about them, which is called their warlock mark. So that might be like blue skin or like horns or whatever. They're really not like Harry Potter at all. I just thought Harry Potter would fit because he does magic. The last big downworlder category is the Fae. They are descendants of half angels, half demons. They are tricky tricksters, and I think they can do like a little bit of magic. They are also super long-lived, unsure if they're immortal. They mostly live in fairy, and there is like a Seelie court and an unseelie court. We got to talk about downworlders as a concept. This was such a clutch move for Cassandra Clare, right? Because these books came out, Mortal Instruments, these were coming out peak werewolf vampire. But then she left the door open for Fae, and now we're in the Fae boom. Like, she set herself up for the pivot. I love it. The big world building thing for these books is all the stories are true, by which I mean basically like you heard of werewolves, they're real. You heard of vampires, they're real. Ghosts, also real. Demons, also real. Genies, also real. Can't think of anything else, but I bet it's real. But then it's kind of weird because in this world, demons are real, but angels are kind of a myth despite Raziel being a thing. At this point in the game, nobody who's alive has ever seen an angel IRL. We also never meet God. We don't meet Satan. There's no real preference for one religion either, despite the like angels, demons things. Shadowhunters can use holy ground regardless of if it's like Christian or Buddhist or Shinto or whatever, but they do invoke enough like Latin and rules. There's a definite, like, it's not like a Catholic undertone, but it is like a, they're like LaCroix Catholicism. Downworlders and Shadowhunters used to have beef, but now they mostly just like live and let live. They have a treaty called the Accords that has to be re-upped every 15 years because that is a plot convenient number. One more thing. Okay, so also people in this world who are normal are called mundanes. City of Bones kind of tries out calling them mundies. That gets dropped really quick, thank God. And I think that's basically what you need to know before we get into the books. So here's the deal. The next piece of this silly little puzzle was going to be the Mortal Instruments 1 through 3, but I had a little bit more to say here than I thought. So we're stopping here for now. You stay here and get cozy. Brought you a water. But the good news is that the Mortal Instruments 1 through 3 is totally filmed and it's being edited and it'll be out so soon. So subscribe if you want to be here for that. Don't forget to like the video if you liked the video. Anyway, bye.